Some courtroom moments are so outrageous, they leave a lasting mark. With emotions boiling over and tensions reaching their peak, things can spiral out of control faster than you'd expect. From jaw-dropping outbursts to shocking defiance, these wild courtroom moments will have you questioning what pushed these individuals to lose control in such a serious setting. Case number 1, Deobra. Redden 30-year-old Deobra. Redden is charged with assaulting a man with a baseball bat, but pleaded down the charge and possibly got only 1 to 4 years in prison. Before sentencing, Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus asked Redden if he had anything to say on his own behalf. And this is the point that leads to unexpected conclusions. Redden and Judge Holthus begin a matter-of-fact exchange. Afterward, while Redden is still explaining his side, Judge Holthus interrupts and starts counting the number of crimes Redden has done in his life.
3 felonies, a gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs. Got a lot going on, sir.
Yeah, I just figured like...
Battery on a protected person, robberies, attempt home invasion.
Redden is diagnosed with serious mental health issues like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and overseeing this matter, Judge Holthus continues to feel Redden is guilty for his criminal acts. Meanwhile, Redden is trying to convince the judge that he is not the same and has become a better person.
Committing crimes now, you know, and I feel like I should be given a shot because I'm in a better place than I was.
Until now, the situation is calm, but something unexpected is whispering around the court. Completely unaware of the stiffness of the situation, Judge Holthus continues to argue with Redden and shows indifference to all of his points. Things start getting worse as she begins to announce her decision on his sentence. Redden explodes, shouting curse words and leaping over the bench to attack the judge. The deputy sitting beside Judge Holthus hurriedly turns toward Redden and grabs him tightly to restrain him from hitting her. However, Redden remains frantic, attempting to lunge at Judge Holthus. Luckily, the deputies have a strong hold on Redden, but still he continues cursing her. All the alarms in the courtroom went off, and seeing the severity of the situation, people started calling for help. It was later discovered that Redden had punched Judge Holthus and yanked out chunks of her hair. One of the marshals had to be hospitalized, requiring 25 stitches for a forehead wound, along with treatment for a dislocated shoulder. A few days afterward, Redden appeared in court again, this time heavily shackled and wearing a spit mask during the sentencing for his original assault case.
$250 indigent defense fee, 19 to 48 months in the Nevada Department.
Redden faced 13 additional charges for the attack on Judge Holthus, including attempted murder, battery, and extortion by threat. If convicted, Redden could be sentenced to decades in prison. This court moment shows how risky it can be to manage mental health suffering convicts, as they can go crazy without giving any hint. Not only men, but women can also become frantic, and the next case is a perfect example of this. Case number 2, Melissa Harvick. In July 2011, Melissa Harvick appeared at a family court hearing as the defendant in a dispute with her husband, who had filed a domestic violence order against her. Judge Jennifer Edwards was presiding over the case, and from the outset, the atmosphere in the courtroom was charged with tension. As her husband took the stand to explain his side, Harvick repeatedly interrupted him, refusing to let him speak. Despite multiple warnings from the judge to maintain order, she continued her disruptive outbursts, showing complete disregard for courtroom decorum. This defiance prompted Judge Edwards to sentence Harvick to 10 days in jail for contempt of court.
Haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of
It doesn't
court.
make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
In a shocking twist, Harvick erupted in anger, losing all self-control as she lunged at the judge, attempting to attack her right there in front of the entire courtroom. Security officers swiftly intervened, preventing any physical altercation, but the moment left everyone in stunned silence. This chaotic scene serves as a stark reminder that even in the courtroom, emotions can quickly spiral out of control, transforming a place of order into one of unpredictability and highlighting the volatile nature of human behavior in high-pressure situations. Do you think it's the wildest courtroom incident? Then the next one will blow your mind. Case number 3, Sidney Newsom. The courtroom scene in Pike County, Justice Court, Mississippi, started like any other, with 27-year-old Sidney Newsom standing before Judge Aubrey Rhymes on domestic violence charges. The mood was tense but controlled, with Newsom in hand restraints and a bailiff by his side, ready to escort him out of the room. But then suddenly the tension snapped and his behavior astonished everyone. At the start, he appears calm, going through paperwork until a transport officer's tap on the table signals his family's arrival. It seems that the officer's tap on the table triggered him. He briefly steps toward them, but the officer doesn't allow him, so he comes back. Judge Rhymes instructs the family to sit, and Newsom signs the papers, but he's not ready to wrap things up. Visibly frustrated, he begins to argue with the judge, prompting the judge to order his removal. Initially hesitating, Newsom soon explodes, grabbing a stack of papers and hurling them at the judge. Suddenly, chaos erupts. Court clerks scramble, his mother screams, and the transport officer alone struggles to contain him. As he furiously reaches the judging panel, everybody starts running away but not Judge Rhymes. But Newsom isn't done yet. He grabs a phone and throws it at the judge, knocking over a computer monitor in the process. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Judge Rhymes, abandoning his usual place of authority behind the bench, leaped into action. Without hesitation, he rushed toward Newsom, confronting the aggressive outburst head-on. The judge managed to pin Newsom down onto a table, struggling to restrain him. It was an extraordinary sight. The judge himself physically subduing a defendant as the courtroom watched in disbelief. Newsom's brother tries to intervene, but it takes more officials to escort him out. Once calm returns, Judge Rhymes resumes proceedings. Newsom's brother faces no charges, but Newsom is hit with an additional contempt charge and ends up serving 48 hours in jail. It's moments like these that reflect a troubling trend, a surge in destructive behavior among the youth, with the next culprit being a prime example. Case number 4, Leonid Gracer. In a shocking courtroom incident that captivated the media and the public, 18-year-old Leonid Gracer made headlines during his trial in Moscow for the brutal murder of his elder sister, 21-year-old Ariada Karol, which he claimed to be done as part of a sacrificial ritual to rid himself of Satan. Considering his mental state, he was confined to a secure glass box in the courtroom. To everyone's shock, he tries to escape the box. At first, he attempts to escape by pushing his head through the small window of the glass box. However, he quickly realizes that his head is too large to fit. Undeterred, he shifts his strategy and tries maneuvering one of his legs through the opening, but this also proves futile. His gaze then shifts upward to the wooden slatted roof of the box. Seizing the moment, he manages to wriggle his head through the roof, pulling himself up and over the edge. In a dramatic twist, he successfully escapes the confines of the glass box, his body now suspended above the box. The police officers rush to intercept him. Gracer pushes himself against the ceiling tiles in a frantic attempt to evade capture. However, the officers are quick to react, grabbing hold of his legs and attempting to pull him back down. In the process, his trousers slip down, adding an element of absurdity to the intense situation. With Gracer still clinging to the ceiling, one officer deploys a taser in a bid to subdue him. However, Gracer knocks the tiles to plead with the officer not to use the taser. Finally, he carefully descends into the box and puts his pants on. Later, he was sentenced to compulsory psychiatric medical treatment. Though Gracer did his best to escape, the next escape trial will bring your heart into your mouth. Case number 5, Christopher Clay Rudd. Christopher Clay Rudd, a suspect facing drug charges in Spanish Fork, Utah, was arrested and brought to a Utah courtroom on May 4, 2018, while in handcuffs, sitting on the bench. Suddenly, he stands up and unexpectedly bolts from the courtroom. Everybody is shocked by his actions. In the meantime, some officers rush behind him to stop him from evacuating the courtroom. However, they fail to catch Rudd, and the situation takes a new twist. Rudd leaped over a second-floor railing, falling approximately 20 feet to the ground. Some officers present down there and try to catch him. Although he survived the fall, he sustained serious injuries, including a broken leg, a fractured pelvis, and a skull fracture. Rudd was taken to a hospital for treatment and later returned to court, where he faced additional charges for attempting to escape. According to the police, the reasons behind his dramatic leap remain unclear, but some speculate he might have been trying to injure himself to avoid imprisonment. Christopher Clay Rudd's leap became a remarkable moment in the courtroom. Has this escape trial overwhelmed you? Then the seething behavior of Sigmund Gomez will force you to rethink whether to choose to be a judge or not. Case number 6, Sigmund Gomez. This 43-year-old criminal is in court for the hearing of the charges of the heinous crime of 9 counts of criminal sexual penetration of a minor and 4 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor. Police accuse Gomez of sexually assaulting a teenage girl and his family multiple times in 2019. Although Gomez's crime is abhorred, his next move will leave you in awe. During the proceeding, Gomez was strictly instructed to stay away from the victim and his children and to refrain from any contact with his girlfriend, Sarah Ibarra. The judge also deemed him a danger to the community and ordered that he remain in jail until his trial. Gomez was seething with fury at the judge's decision to keep him in custody until the next trial. In a fit of rage, he lunged forward, attempting to escape and confront the judge directly. The courtroom erupted in chaos as he shouted, pushing past the officers who struggled to restrain him. In that explosive moment, it felt like the tension could snap at any second, with Gomez's desperate actions turning the proceedings into a frenzied battle for control. Gomez faced additional charges of resisting and obstructing due to his disruptive behavior in court. He spent 3 years in jail while awaiting trial before finally pleading guilty in November 2022. Under a plea agreement, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison and will be required to register as a sex offender for life. Not only the culprit, but sometimes the victim's relative also loses control due to the overwhelming pain of their loved ones. Case number 7, Michael Madison. Heading towards the serial killer. Michael Madison faces the consequences of a series of chilling crimes, including abducting, assaulting, and murdering 3 young girls, Sherelda Terry, Shatisha Shealy, and Angela Deskins, whose bodies were discovered in plastic bags near his home in East Cleveland in 2013 in Ohio. The courtroom is tense, filled with the families of his victims, awaiting justice for the daughters who never came home. During the sentencing hearing, Van Terry, the father of 18-year-old victim Sherelda Terry, asked to come to the podium, and here he gives a heart-wrenching statement before the court.
Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown who's touched our families, taken my child.
Mr. Terry is just a few feet away from Madison. He is staring directly at Madison with a lot of anger. In a sudden and intense moment of grief and rage, Terry lunges at Madison, who had been smirking during the hearing. The father attempts to attack Madison, plunging across the courtroom towards him, prompting security officers to restrain him and quickly restore order. The courtroom was left shaken by the outburst, which underscored the deep pain and devastation felt by the victims' families. Mr. Terry has been released, and no charges have been filed against him. However, Madison, who showed no remorse throughout the trial, was later sentenced to death for his brutal crimes by Judge Nancy McDonald. The incident highlighted the raw emotions and suffering that often accompany such horrific cases, particularly for the families of the victims seeking justice. Do you think Illuminati is just a rumor? Then Titus Colbert's case will leave you ponder. Case number 8, Titus Nathan Colbert.
We are the Illuminati!
33-year-old Titus Nathan Colbert appears for a court hearing in San Diego. He faces 3 counts of premeditated attempted murder of a peace officer in possession of a firearm as a felon. The 33-year-old suspected gang member broke into his ex-girlfriend's apartment building, prompting her to call the police. When officers arrived, Colbert started firing at them as he was armed with a high-powered rifle. The standoff lasted 5 hours, leading authorities to shut down roads and temporarily halt air traffic at a nearby airport. Fortunately, there were no injuries, and Colbert was taken into custody. He could face a sentence of up to 105 years in prison. During his first court appearance, he appeared indifferent to the situation. Colbert repeatedly interrupted as the judge tried to read him his rights, stating, "I stand for the New World Order."
I stand for a new world order.
Showing no interest, he is standing as he knows well, not you. Posing the gang sign, he starts interrupting the proceeding by yelling a specific date. The date Colbert repeatedly mentions is linked to the origins of the Illuminati, a secret society commonly connected to conspiracy theories.
May 1st, 1776. May 1st, 1776.
Seeing the situation, the judge quickly removed Colbert from the courtroom. Afterward, Colbert's attorney pleads not guilty, but Colbert behaves the same again and continues chanting the specific group name.
We are the Illuminati!
This constant interruption and bizarre behavior make the judge disgusting and force him to warn Colbert.
You keep your mouth shut or you're out of here, do you understand?
However, it does not affect Colbert, and the outbursts continue with Colbert chanting the same group name. At this point, the judge has had enough and orders Colbert's removal from the courtroom. He is required to undergo several psychiatric evaluations and is eventually deemed competent to stand trial. However, nearly 2.5 years after the event, Colbert switches his plea from not guilty to guilty. In return for his plea, prosecutors dropped 4 counts of attempted murder of a peace officer and other firearm-related charges. He receives a 20-year sentence in state prison. If there's a way to annoy a judge, Brooks would be the perfect example of it. Case number 9, Darrell Brooks. In the Waukesha County Courthouse, 39-year-old Darrell Brooks is on trial for his crimes. He faces 6 counts of intentional homicide, 61 counts of recklessly endangering safety with a dangerous weapon, along with several other charges. According to police, a year prior, Brooks had an argument with his ex-girlfriend, and later after he drove his mother's car into a crowd during the Waukesha Christmas parade. This tragic incident resulted in the deaths of 6 people aged 8 to 81, with over 60 others injured. After fleeing the scene on foot, Brooks was later found on the front steps of a stranger's home, less than a mile away. Brooks's footage was captured in the doorbell camera, where he is asking for the phone.
Hey, I'm calling an Uber, and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please?
As you see, police are patrolling in the area in search of Brooke, and suddenly one police car stops in front of the house after recognizing Brooks. Finally, police took him into custody, and when he was interviewed, Brooks showed unawareness of the whole matter.
Tell me what happened. With what? With the car. What am I being with your mom's car?
Brooks faced a total of 75 felony charges and 1 misdemeanor. He contemplated various pleas, including not guilty because of a mental defect, but ultimately opted to plead not guilty. During a pretrial hearing, he fell asleep while testimony was being given, which made the prosecutor disgusted.
Observed that for about the past 40 minutes, Mr. Brooks appears to be asleep in the courtroom.
However, it didn't stop there. After resuming the hearing after a while, Brooks becomes furious when Judge Jennifer Doro reminds him that the proceedings are being recorded. And then he started making a fuss in the courtroom.
I don't care about no live stream. Just like y'all don't care. All this political.
Mr. Brooks,
Sit up here and act like you know me. People like you don't, y'all
Mr.
you don't
Brooks.
know nothing about where I come from.
Mr.
You
Brooks.
push me, dog.
The hearing continued after 5 weeks, and Brooks decided to be his own lawyer. This time, Brooks appears more disrespectful to the judge.
I just want this to be fair, and it hasn't been fair. It's disrespectful to me that you think I would come in here purposely and treat this like a joke or a game. Your life is not on the line. Mine is.
The judge moved Brooks to another room and continued proceeding remotely. However, the disruptions persisted as Brooks stripped off his clothes and turned his back to the camera. Later, he constructed a makeshift fort out of cardboard boxes. The trial lasted 3 weeks, and once both sides concluded their arguments, the jury took less than 3 hours to reach a verdict. He was found guilty on all 76 charges, including 6 counts of intentional homicide. Judge Jennifer Doro then sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In the pursuit of justice, the culprits were held accountable for their actions, bringing a sense of closure to the victims. What lessons can we learn from these cases? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content.